Hello, long time no see. You know that friend that you have and the two of you have been meaning to meet up for ages, and then you'll finally get the chance to do so. And here we are. Today's film is going to be a Q&A, a questions and answers film. Very flattered that so many of you have questions still to ask me, to learn things about me, to learn things from me, and to perhaps learn my perspective on certain things. I recently posted a story on my Instagram account letting you know that I would be creating a questions and answer film. So many of you got in touch with your questions. If you have any questions, do leave a comment, as many as you like. I'd love to hear from you. I have my questions here, my technological device, and my optical enhancer to read the questions. I've had no preparation for this, so I will be selecting questions at random. We will be doing it raw. I know you've wanted me raw and all to yourself for ages. The first question asks, what is your opinion on minimalism? I would ask you, what is the context? What do you mean? Do you mean minimalism in interior design, in architecture, in makeup, in fashion? You see, I wouldn't say I'm a minimalist at all, but I would not say I'm personally a maximalist when it comes to my own style. I think finding the balance. I would rather have few things, but they be quite bright and fabulous and fantastic, rather than having overly simplified things. I think just a few pieces in a room looks great, almost a bit like a gallery. I think that can look quite nice. Great fan of designers such as Thomas Pheasant. I think his work is beautiful. It's almost a bit like modern neoclassicalism. Classical, but it's really stripped back. It's finding the balance, I think, when it comes to interior design. With minimalism, the only time it looks good in modern settings is if it's done really well and more on the high-end side of things. The best maximalist is nature. The next question asks, if you were an ambassador of the human race, what is something you'd say to the aliens? I might not have all the nicest things to say about human beings. If I were to say anything to the aliens, I'd probably say, reverse, run, savor yourself the hassle. It's pretty grim here. Best places online to get such exquisite black clothing. Oh, that's tricky. I would always recommend that you buy the best quality item. Personally, I will try to buy natural fibers if I can. I tend to react quite poorly to synthetics. Wolf & Badger, I have found, is a fantastic retailer for finding different brands, for looking for different things. Some of the Scandinavian brands like Melanie Berger, Alfredo Berger, I tend not to buy their pieces if they're made from synthetic materials. Although in saying that, I do have a few. Most retailers and brands on their websites will have a filtration process and a filtration system where you can single out and select a filter to only see black clothing or black shoes or black bags. There's so much choice out there, from low end to super high end. You can never go wrong with good quality staples though, provided you can find them at an agreeable price. The next question asks, are you seeing anyone? No, and it appears there is no one on the horizon. Do you ever get misgendered? And if yes, how do you respond? Oh yes, all the time. People are always saying Her Highness instead of His Majesty. I wouldn't say I respond. I would always try to be polite and gracious. But if you are a most distinguished gentleman like myself who chooses to look a certain way that may appear like the age that we live in considers traditionally feminine, then yes, there are going to be people that will assume or presume that I am a woman, which I am not. For me personally, it has no meaning. It doesn't matter at all to me. What is your most prized possession? Myself and my life. For without these things, I would not be able to possess or acquire or do anything that I'm doing here in the time that I have been given. The next question, how do you keep your dignity when life is rough? You keep going. You keep going. No matter what. That is the dignified choice. You keep going, even though it might be terrible, might be terrifying, might be horrific. You keep going and you never give up. You might fail, you might wobble, you might slip, and you might combust, but you keep going. And if the worst happens, you will rebound from it. You will recover. Everything is temporary. This hard time that you're going through, it is temporary. Tough times do not last forever. Tough people do. You keep going and you never give up. Next question, what motivates you on your daily basis and any goals long term? The only reason I choose to be alive, and it is a choice, I choose to be alive because I could choose not to be alive. I choose life because there is a possibility that the ideas in my mind, the things that give me meaning in my life, can be actualized, and they have been actualized, and they will be actualized. For me, the ability to be able to imagine something and then create it is a reason to to choose life. It is a reason to live. That is what keeps me alive, is the possibility that the things that I think of and imagine can be actualized and created and brought into reality. If I can create products, and I use the word product very loosely and broadly and generally, or if I can create experiences, again, that's a product that can be beautiful and valuable for me or for other people, that gives me meaning to my life, and it gives me a reason to be here. The long-term goal for me is the same as it always has been: actualize myself. Next question. How would you describe your style when it comes to your home decor? Oh, this is a good question. It's sort of difficult to describe the style. There are definitely style influences at work here, and there are also things that I love, different style periods that I really enjoy. I make no secret of the fact that I love beauty and good quality things. I love when things are made and done well. Who doesn't? My home, of course, is a very personal and private thing. I definitely like things that are more refined and sophisticated. My home is not child-friendly at all, or animal-friendly. It's more orderly. It's more on the dressy side of things. It is a bit like an art gallery. I also like there to be a slight echo in a room. I've always liked that. It's something that can relate so much to your childhood as well. For me, art galleries and museums were always these places that seemed so sacred and holy. Often when you would go into them, they would be quiet, relatively empty, not many people. There's nothing in my home that's all that new. I don't think new is chic. Also, with what's happened to furniture and furniture design in the last 40 years is not great. So modern does tend to be a bit of a put off. Personally, I love antiques. I love particular eras. I mean, everything you're seeing is antique. Actually, in saying that, I don't think the marble box behind me nor the teacup is antique, but they have the look. A lot of what's modern, it really lacks genuine design. And one of the things I love about antiques and classical styles is that you can strip back the style when reproducing it or recreating it in your own way, but take certain fundamentals, again, a philosophy. There's just a way to make furniture look good, whether you're creating something that's really modern or replicating a style from a bygone era. The proportion of things and the balance create dimension. It's just like with makeup and the way that we architect the face with makeup. Furniture, homes, interior design, fashion as well. Personally, I look at everything architecturally. I think of things in that way. I'm not opposed to modern or new. I do have a few things in here that are modern and new, but the quality of modern is never that great. Sadly, a lot of good quality furniture manufacturing has become something that's more specialized in order to survive. It's too great a topic for me to just answer one singular question on. I design furniture, as many of you know. It's a reason to live. It's a reason to live. How would I describe my style? Refined is the word I would use. In fact, there was a furniture maker called John Maclean. His style of design is quite recognizable once you become familiar with it. His pieces nowadays are very expensive. I may or may not have seen one of his pieces in person, but a dealer recommended I investigate his work and see if I can get a hold of any of it. But typically his style was mahogany, and it would have ormolu squares, horizontal reading on the pieces. It looks great. But there were so many fantastic furniture designers in bygone eras and bygone times, and that's only just the styles that were available here in Britain. But throughout the world, at different points in time, human beings have created the most incredible things out of typically natural materials, things that the earth provided. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Personally, I love my style. I think it's just the best. I think it's wonderful. I feel I've not been able to answer your question in describing my own home decor, but if I were to simplify for you, I would say very gallery-esque, light colors, light tones, antiques, warm woods, everything's warm. Just to give an example, this is quite an autumnal color palette. These are some of my cushions on my chair. This is a mustard color, which I adore. We have a terracotta, which is another lovely warm color, and then more of an antique gold. The actual cushion that goes on this chair, this is a Regency Library chair, is a dark emerald green. It's really dark. I took it off because I wanted to show the rattan, but when you put it in front of the camera, it does look really, really dark, almost black. So warm tones are definitely what I go for. Red is a color that I find so hard to have in a room. This kind of thing, this is a comb. I have to put this in a drawer. I cannot see red in a room. It's just, oh, danger. I just do not like it. I think it looks cheap. However, I will have red roses or I have red lilies. So for me, red is a big no-no. But then I have a friend who loves red, wears red, has everything red, and it works for her in that setting. Doesn't mean that I would have it myself, but it works so well for her, and lots of people love red. I'm just not one of them. Chrome yellow, like a piece of plastic that's chrome yellow. Oh, cold tones I'm not a fan of. And I find that living in a climate that does tend to be predominantly grey makes me more inclined towards warm tones. Although in saying that, some people can make blue look amazing. I do like blue, but it's got to be the right blue. I think interior designer Todd Richardson does blue extremely well. His own personal interiors are to live for. They're just gorgeous. There's a lot of blue in them, but it just looks so good. The iconic Alexander Kraft is also another person who does blue very well. But again, these are two individuals that have used blues that are more muted or darker or richer, that look great. All this talk of blue, and I have a blue teacup. I love this kind of blue. It's all about the tone. This to me is fantastic. And if you paint walls in this kind of color and then have furniture like this that's Georgian, looks incredible. Like a really orange mahogany against a blue like this. Wonderful, wonderful. And then you can add either in blue and white antique or reproduction or new or whatever, blue and white china. Amazing. White and orange china against this kind of color, Georgian mahogany, and maybe a few satinwood pieces. Wonderful. I mean, just wonderful. I think I'm getting a bit carried away here, so I'm going to go on to the next question. What would your perfect date activity be? Cancelling plans. What is your favorite type of wood? Cuban mahogany. Are you going to make your own makeup brand? It's a possibility, but if I'm going to create a makeup brand, it's something that has to exist in and of itself, independent of me, so that it could survive beyond my time here in the world. Only be prepared to do it if it were to be top end, top quality. Nothing else would feel authentic to me. But it is an if and when matter. The next question asks, are you an introvert or an extrovert? I would say neither. It's a bit like being a maximalist or a minimalist. I'm in between. It's great to socialize with those that you have a friendship with or a connection with. That is wonderful. Even though I'm friends with many introverts, we would probably do extroverted things together or be very social with one another, but maybe not all that many people. Better one-to-one or two people at the most. Group settings can work if you have rapport with people or if you're networking. Professional settings have a different vibe altogether compared to something that's purely social. Many people would probably think I'm introverted though, because I come across as being quite reserved, but I definitely enjoy a little bit of fun. Not really the type to enjoy parties unless there is a 3-course meal. In your opinion, is elegance related to having money? No. Money can often be associated with sophistication. A person can have absolutely no money, but they can hold themselves elegantly. They can treat other people elegantly. They can have an elegant vision of the world. What is your favorite season? I would have to say the autumn. There are lots of warm tones and the air feels cleaner. What is the best part of summer? The end. Will you continue your Palest Shade series? Absolutely. Biggest regret of your life? I aim to live as best as possible without regret. Hindsight is the clearest sight of all. Should have done this, shoulda, woulda, coulda, should have done this, should have done that, would have done this, could have done that, if only, if only. I think it's in one's best interest to assess what they are regretting and think, okay, what can I learn from this? What was a mistake? What would I not do again? And how can I learn this lesson and move on? For me, at least, I try to live as best as possible without regrets and look at the things that perhaps in hindsight weren't the best idea as a lesson learned. What can I learn from that? What could I take from that? What could I do better next time? I think that's the most evolved and the best way to look at life's events. What do you suggest are the best ways to build self-confidence after losing it? It's definitely a challenge to build anything, but I think it's an even greater challenge for something that you built to be destroyed and then have to rebuild it again. You can have an entire forest, you can have every plant going. In a matter of hours, it can all be cut down or burnt. And yet, nature finds a way to regrow, to rebuild. Start with small steps, and please, if you can do anything, try to resist the self-depreciation or the self-shaming. If shame is not propelling you to take action, and if shame is preventing you from taking action, perhaps it's best to put the shame slightly to one side. If you are unable to do that, start to cultivate a small corner of counter shame remarks. So if you think, oh, I'm a piece of manure, I'm not good enough, or I'm not great, or I'll never be this, or this, that, and the next, and if there's a constant tirade of negative remarks, contrast it. So let the negative person go on and on and on and on and on and on and on as they do, but think to yourself, well, actually, what they're saying is not correct, because I'm trying to improve. I have tried. I am trying to find ways to improve myself. Every attempt a person tries to make towards creating a better life for themselves is something to be encouraged and celebrated. That's a good thing. Even though your self-confidence might be in tatters right now, it is possible to regrow and rebuild. You could do it the easiest way, with little small steps. Counteract the negative voices in your own mind if there are any. Even if it means you create a small corner. If you have to imagine a nice little room, hopefully a nice little room with nice furniture. Imagine a nice little room, create this little room in your mind where you counteract the negative thoughts, but without being a reaction to the negative thoughts. So if it doesn't say something very nice, you can also think, well, actually, these are the good things that I have. I am trying. I want to be better. I want to have better confidence. Secondly, I would also do the things that you're slightly scared to do. Creating boundaries is one way of creating self-confidence and self-respect. Sometimes saying no to a person or confronting a person or an entity or something that they have done that wasn't correct or something that you don't feel comfortable doing can feel daunting. However, you will feel a lot better having done it or said what you wanted to say. Doing the things that you were a little reluctant to do but knew that they were in your best interest can really successfully build self-confidence. By no means am I a specialist or trained in the area of psychology, but I have a great interest in psychology and health, and also all the facets that make life as a sentient being, which is quite dynamic. What are these things? What are the things that form being alive? How can we maximize on the time that has been given to us? No matter where you are at, no matter what you're dealing with, I believe in you. Even though you might not believe in yourself, I 100% believe that you are going to get through these things and overcome them, even though they may seem very hard and very difficult. What discontinued product you loved would you bring back if you could? MAC Cosmetics seems to have an obsession for discontinuing their very popular lipsticks. It's almost as if though they think, look there, a bestseller, everyone likes that shade, let's discontinue it. Have you had a chance to try the Air 10? Yes, actually I have. If you're not familiar, this is the You Like Sapphire Air 10 IPL at-home hair removal device. In the past, I reviewed the You Like Sapphire Air 3. It's basically a hair removing device. It uses IPL light rays and it targets the hair. I thought the Air 3 was absolutely brilliant. However, if you want to know my thoughts on the Air 10, I do happen to have a review on this very device coming in a matter of days. Do you happen to have a signature fragrance? No. Personally, I don't want to smell like the same thing every single day. I think nothing could be more boring. The fragrance I'm wearing today is absolutely beautiful. It's one of my all-time favorites. This fragrance is by Roger Parfums and it's called Emirat Al Arabiya Al Muttahida. Oh, it's just the most divine, rich, yet inoffensive and non-vulgar, yet so rich, yet so dense, yet so soft and lovely. I just, words can't describe it. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. If you get the chance to try it or smell it, I strongly recommend. What is one product that you consider a lifesaver? The Banish Fighter Gel. I have used this product for years and years and years. It is my post-shave razor burn inflammation soothing balm. Well, it's a gel, but I use it almost like a balm. It's also fantastic on top of spots, if you get any. It just calms them down really, really quickly. I find it great at soothing inflammation. Will you be making more YouTube films? Well, here we are. Looking forward, I definitely want to produce and publish more kinds of content, more types of content, and maybe experiment and see what works, what doesn't work, what you like. So if you have suggestions or questions or anything, just leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And the final question asks, may I have your lamp? I'm not really sure which lamp you are referring to, but perhaps the lamp that's there or another one. I might have to hold on to it for a while. Lamps, mirrors, cushions, you can never have too many of them. So that more or less completes my 4th questions and answer film. If you sent me a question at any point in time, thank you so much. I do so appreciate your kind concern and your interest, even after all these years. I'm ever so flattered and thank you. I hope you found today's film to be either interesting, useful, helpful, or beneficial. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, take care. Bye.